Hello there guys, so welcome back to another video, back working on Project KFC. What are we doing today then? We're going to be doing a pretty big and involved job, and it's something that I think anyone should do if you have a diesel. Now we are going to be removing the intake manifold because we are going to be giving both the intake manifold and the intake ports a very good clean out. Now why are we doing that now? We are doing that because we have blanked off the EGR system, which means no more sooty, dirty exhaust gases are going to be going back through the intake manifold and through the intake ports. So in theory, they should never ever get dirty again. We will have a very small amount of oil pass through, but because that isn't getting mixed with the sooty exhaust gases, it shouldn't really stick. It should just pass right through it and it should burn off. Now why is the engine running? It's because we want the engine to be nice and warm, because not only are we going to be removing the intake manifold to give that a good clean, we're also going to be swapping out the glow plugs as well. Removal of glow plugs is so much easier when the engine is nice and warm, but the engine has been running for a good while now, so I'm going to switch it off and let's get cracking. Okay, let's get started then. If you haven't already done so, make sure you give this video a like. It really does help me out and it shows your appreciation, and it lets me know that you want to see more videos like this. So for starters then, I want to get any covers out of the way. So of course we've already removed the main engine cover. I'm going to get this front one here out of the way as well, just held in by 3 Torx 20 screws. And this can just be removed from the airbox. Then I want to remove the entire scuttle panel and cabin air filter box. I'm going to start off by removing these 2 covers on either side. They just lift off. Just a tab on either side. There we are. Now I'm going to disconnect the bonnet. And now I'm going to disconnect the bonnet release switch and also the AUC sensor. Then we'll also remove this wiring from the scuttle panel. Just have to depress these clips. Well, that one's actually broken on there. But that is all now away, and it should just be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 8mm screws. And with all of those removed, this entire scuttle panel should come away. There we are. Now what I'm going to do is get this thing out of the way. It's not needed, you know, you probably could get the intake manifold removed with this in place, but I just like to make life easier for myself. So I'm going to disconnect the battery because we don't want to start shorting things out, and then I can release that 13mm nut there off of the alternator. There we are then, 10mm nut at the negative terminal is removed from the battery. So we'll now get the positive cable disconnected from the alternator. Let's pop that off. I'll put the nut back on just so I don't lose it. And then I'm just going to disconnect this vacuum hose. Just a little white clip that you have to depress, and this should pull off. There we are, that's that vacuum hose removed. Also just remove the other side as well, just so that I don't put any tension on it. I don't want to snap it. I can now fold this out of the way. Just going to get this bit of insulation removed, which is already pretty destroyed. I don't think I'm going to put this back on. It's a nightmare trying to put the engine cover back on with it being all out of shape. That's that out of the way. Now I'll lift up this as well. Now then, it's just going to be a case of working my way through disconnecting all of the electrical connectors, and then we should have free access to remove the intake manifold itself. Okay, so here's where we're currently at. I believe I now have full access to get the intake manifold removed. So I've just disconnected the wiring loom from the ECU. That's all now folded over. What I have What I could leave plugged in, I have done. Some of these plugs are an absolute nightmare to try and get it done without breaking them, so I've just left them plugged in where I can. I've just unbolted it from the intake manifold. A lot easier to remove a bolt than it is to try and not break one of these connectors. Again, with all this, just unclipped it from the intake manifold. That is still plugged into the anti-shudder valve. I'm just going to unbolt the anti-shudder valve from the intake manifold. These 3 eTorx bolts here, and then I think there is just 5 10mm bolts holding this in place. One there, one there, one there, one there, and then one there. I wouldn't be surprised if there is another one lurking somewhere, but that is all that I can see. So yeah, just going to get these 3 removed and then get those 5 removed and see how we get on. I'm going to anticipate that it's going to be pretty stuck on if this has never been removed before. Okay, that's those 3 bolts removed. Takes a E8 socket. That should be the intercooler hose away as well. Yeah, anti-shudder valve is looking a bit dirty, so we'll give that a quick clean once I have this off. But yeah, it should just be those 5 10mm bolts now. Yep, we have a bit of movement there. Let's see if we have liftoff. I think so. Still connected on somewhere. Oh, there's like a vacuum controller solenoid thing. And away we are. Okay, so looking into the intake manifold, I mean, I'll show you better in a minute, but this is not the worst that I've ever seen before. Certainly not the best either. Obviously, this being an 18D, it doesn't have swirl flaps, so that's one headache that we've avoided. But yeah, definitely worth giving this a good clean out. And also the intake ports as well. Definitely don't want this in there. That's a bit of foam. It's from the insulation. Yeah, definitely can bring them up a lot nicer so we can actually see the valves. For now though, let's work on getting the glow plugs removed. I'd be very surprised if these were the original glow plugs, because it's covered 187,000 miles, something like that. So chances are they probably have been replaced before. I'll just stick that over there. And now, yep, still have a bit of heat left in the engine. Now this is what I like to do. I like to use a torque wrench. I'm going to set this to 15 Newton meters, and then I'm going to work on cracking these loose. So a deep 10mm socket, and we'll just gently crack these loose. That's either just snapped or it's came loose. Oh, hold on a minute. What's going on here? Oh, I don't think the socket was on properly. Yeah, these have been replaced before because these aren't tight. Yeah, these have all been off before, well, all been replaced before, should I say. This one is a little bit that seems a little bit dodgy, that first one. So I'm just going to wind that in and out. There is some WD-40 in there as well. There are better penetrating oils that you can get, but that's all I have to hand at the moment. Right, I'm going to work back and forth, slightly tightening them, slightly loosening them a little bit more. Each time I'm just going to take my time and get them all removed. So, disaster has struck. Front two glow plugs removed after some difficulty, just constantly going back and forth, back and forth. They were pretty damn stuck in there in the end. Got to the third one, and maybe I was a little bit impatient, but yeah, this happened. Snapped off right at the top of the threads. This is what a full glow plug looks like, and that's what I removed. So all of the threads, and I guess the rest of the shaft is all still in the head on the third one. The fourth one, that is kind of halfway out, but I have a feeling that it's just going to be the same as that. So I have made the executive decision to just leave them both as they are for now. I'm just going to put, I think I'll just put the two original ones back in. I'm going to, get onto this at a later date. Obviously going to have to get a glow plug, a snapped glow plug removal kit to get that one out, and probably that one as well. But I need this car on the road like today, so yeah, I think what I'm going to do is just ignore the glow plugs for now. I'm going to clean these intake ports up, and then I'll get the intake manifold also cleaned up. Oh, also while I'm here, I want to replace this coolant flange here as well. I don't think it is leaking, but it is prone to cracking, so as I am here, I am going to replace it. Just these 3 bolts to remove, and obviously remove it from that hose, and yeah, we'll get that swapped out. Okay, so essentially all I'm doing to clean out the intake ports is just spraying some brake cleaner or parts cleaner down into the intake ports, and then just scrubbing it with a nylon brush. Okay, so let me explain. So obviously you don't want to spray a load of brake cleaner and carbon down into your cylinders and just have it sit there and then put the engine back together, put the intake manifold back on and then run your engine. What you want to do is spray brake cleaner down into the intake ports, make sure they're nice and clean, and then run the engine. When I say run the engine, crank the engine over, obviously plug everything back in just so that the engine will crank, and all of that carbon and brake clean will just come straight out of the intake ports. Well, that's the idea anyway. So the intake manifold is actually quite a bit worse than I initially thought. Yeah, you definitely don't want that inside of your intake manifold. That is solid. I'm going to give this a good clean out along with this, and that's the EGR pipe in there. I'll remove that, give that a good clean out as well. Get this looking nice and oh, look at that. Get this looking nice and clean, get it put back together, and then when I've got bored of cleaning the intake ports, we'll then put everything back together. Oh, still need to remove this coolant flange as well. We'll get that done as well. Okay, so coolant flange replaced, it's a new one on there. Intake ports are looking much better. You can actually see the valve stems down in there now. So I've gone as far as I want to go with them, and the intake manifold itself, that's came up nicely. All that sludgy carbon crap now gone. Literally just a good pressure wash out, and they come up like new. So I'm going to get that put back together, get the intake back on, and then put everything back together, and hopefully this thing will fire up. Oh, I've also just installed 2 new glow plugs. No point reinstalling the old ones again. They're only going to have to come out yet again. Like I said, I will sort all that out at a later date. I'll get that snapped one removed, and that one at the end, I'm sure that's going to snap as well, so I'll probably have to get that removed with a glow plug removal kit. So yeah, I'm sure that'll be a fun video in itself. But yeah, let's get everything back together and I hope this thing fires up. Okay, so fairly confident that I have everything back together. Let's try and fire things up. That didn't sound good. Let's try again with the jump pack on. It finally fired into life. I was getting very, very worried then for a second. That really, I thought like that glow plug snapped off and fell into the cylinder or something. I'm gonna try rev it. Let me just quiet down that drive belt. I think we're all right. There was a bit of smoke. I think that's just probably the excess brake cleaner burning off. But yeah, I think we're all right. Danger averted for the time being. Hopefully that glow plug will, you know, hold on for dear life and won't fall into the cylinder. It shouldn't do because all of the threads are pretty much still in. So yeah, hopefully it'll hold on for the time being until we can get around to removing them. Well, there we go, another few jobs done on Project KFC. Definitely think we got away with one today though. Obviously intake ports, intake manifold, that all went to plan. They're all now nice and clean, and they shouldn't ever get back in that state that they were in because obviously we've removed the EGR system out now. So, you know, if your car has covered 100,000 miles, I mean this car's covered 200,000 miles, but if it's done over 100,000 miles, it's well worth doing it. Your engine will thank you. You should get better fuel economy, and it should put less stress on the engine as well. Obviously we need to go in there again and tackle those 2 remaining glow plugs. I don't know when that'll be. It'll be at a later date. I have a pretty big trip planned for this car, so it won't be before then. It'll be when I'm back. But yeah, we definitely did get away with one today. I was thinking, like, when it wouldn't start, I was like, wait, is that glow plug snapped off and fell into the cylinder? Have I now just, you know, bent a valve? Load of things were running through my head. And now definitely need to go and change my trousers, because that wasn't fun. But I am going to end this one here anyway. Hopefully you've all enjoyed it. Give this video a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you have not already done so, and we'll see you all in that next one.